Welcome everyone to this lecture on what is machine learning and its application in statistical modeling. In this lecture, we will focus on three main points. The first point is what is machine learning and artificial intelligence. The second point is types of machine learning system. And the last point that we will discuss in this lecture is procedure for supervised machine learning methods. Alright, so what is machine learning? Machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence that allows software applications to become more accurate at predicting outcomes without being explicitly programmed to do so. Machine learning algorithms use historical data as an input to predict new output values. Before we discuss the concept of artificial intelligence, let's take a moment to understand why machine learning holds such importance. Well, machine learning is important because it supports the development of new products. For example, many of today's leading companies such as Facebook, Google, TikTok, Uber make machine learning a central part of their operations. Well, the next question is what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence processed by computers and machines. For example, uh, let's consider an example of spam email filtering. Artificial intelligence algorithms can analyze incoming emails and identify spam messages based on various patterns, keywords, and historical data. And let's take another example of recommendation systems. Artificial intelligence is used in recommendation system found on different platforms such as Netflix and Amazon. These systems analyze user preferences and behavior to suggest relevant movies, products, or content. So these are the examples of the artificial intelligence. All right. So machine learning heavily depends on large dataset and fast electronic devices, uh, and its methods also heavily rely on statistical methods. More specifically, machine learning is based on three components. The first component is input data, huge body of the expected output, criteria for determining whether the learning algorithm is successful. So therefore, I would say machine learning is based on three components: input data, huge body of the expected output, and the criteria for determining whether the algorithm is successful. So this is the introduction to machine learning. Now we can discuss the types of machine learning. There are many types of the machine learning modeling, but in this lecture, I will mention here four approaches of modeling machine learning system. The first approach is supervised learning, and the second approach is unsupervised learning, and the third approach is semi-supervised learning, and the last approach is reinforced learning. There are many other types of machine learning as well. For example, time series forecasting. This is also a type of machine learning system. Active learning, reinforced learning, among others. But in this lecture, we focus on supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and semi-supervised learning. So these three approaches we will discuss in this lecture. And we will also discuss reinforcement learning approach. So types of machine learning. Uh, this is the supervised machine learning approach, and this supervised learning is further categorized into two categories. The first is based on regression and classification, and then we have unsupervised learning. And in the supervised learning, the values of the dependent variable or the response variables are known. In unsupervised learning, the values of the response variables are unknown, and this unsupervised learning further classified into two categories: dimension reduction, including principal component analysis, and clustering. And we have another types of machine learning, that is reinforcement learning. Actually, reinforcement learning is an area of machine learning that is based on behavioral psychology, namely how software agents take action in a particular environment to maximize the cumulative reward. So the best example is game theory. So this is the reinforcement learning, a brief overview. Okay, let's discuss in details the types of machine learning. Now we have a supervised learning. Supervised learning is used when the values of a response variable are known. So in supervised learning, we have a labeled dataset consisting of input variables and corresponding output variables. So the goal is to train a model that can learn the relationship between the input and the output variables. Common examples of supervised learning algorithm include linear regression, logistic regression, decision trees, and neural networks. These are the common example of supervised learning. The next approach is unsupervised learning. In unsupervised learning, the values of the response variable are unknown. So we don't have predefined output variables in unsupervised learning. So the objective here is to discover patterns, structures, or relationships within the data. So the main method of the unsupervised learning is cluster analysis. In addition, it includes dimension reduction methods, principal component, exploratory factor analysis, and some special neural networks methods. And then we have semi-supervised learning. Semi-supervised learning is a combination of supervised and unsupervised learning. It combines labeled and unlabeled data to build a model. I would say the third approach, that is semi-supervised learning, lies between supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So we will discuss the procedure for supervised machine learning methods. I will not discuss the procedure of unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, or reinforcement learning method. In this lecture, we will particularly focus on supervised machine learning method, and this procedure is very helpful to analyze the big data set. So the first step uh, in the procedure of supervised machine learning method is to clean, transform, and split the data into training and testing sets. So the first step, we can split the data into training and testing sets. The training data set will be used to train the model, while testing dataset will be used to evaluate its performance. Uh, and the next step, based on the problem, we can select best model. For example, you can use linear regression when the dependent variable is continuous and follow to normal distribution and satisfy the assumption of the normal distribution. You can use linear regression. You can also use logistic regression when the dependent variable is binary and follows the assumption of the logistic regression. Similarly, you can use decision tree, neural networks, but you select the best model based on the problem. The third step, we will train our machine learning models using the training data. And this training data we can use from step number 1. Fourth step, evaluate the performance of the model. We can use performance measures like mean square error, mean absolute error, root mean square error, and R squared, among others. So we can use several performance measures. So based on that measures, we can check the performance of the model. And the final step, we will use the trained model to make a predictions on new unseen data. So this is the procedure. First procedure, we can split the data into training and testing, and then we can select appropriate model. So then we can choose, then we can train a machine learning model using the training set. So we can measure the performance of the model using performance measures criteria, mean square error, mean absolute error, etc. And then we can make a prediction by using the trained model. And finally, we will use the trained model to make predictions on new unseen data. So this is the procedure for machine learning methods. All right, in the upcoming lectures, we will investigate the analysis of a real-world dataset uh, using supervised machine learning method executed through R programming and Python programming language. I appreciate your interest in this lecture and look forward to sharing valuable insights and knowledge with you